Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. While at ATX Fest, I got to chat with Miriam Shor and Charles Michael Davis from Younger. I had some help from Den of Geek editor Kayti Burt. She's asking half the questions as we sit in the back of Roaring Fork and have a fun little chat. Hope you enjoy.
Have you guys had a chance to read The Marriage Vacation?
Well, I'll tell you what I did read was page 58, 59, and 60.
Are any more as racy as 58?
No, I read an interview with the author, too, where she was like, that isn't what I normally write. So she was like, I wrote what I thought was dirty, and then the publisher was like, more! Like, oh, God, I don't know what to do. So really funny. She's like, if you could see my editor and I's emails where we traded about that. So that's the only part I've read so far.
The important part.
Yeah. I'm not saying I skipped to the dirty parts. I totally skipped to the dirty parts.
Have you had favorite particular moments so far of... I think of all the twists and turns on the shows and all the various relationships and betrayals and loyalties. Has there been a particularly favorite gotcha moment you've gotten to do?
That I've gotten to, gotten to be part of the first episode. Now that it's aired,
yeah.
Charles
finding out was big.
Well,
cool.
When we read that in the table read, even when I read it alone, I gasped. I was like in my apartment in LA.
It's so
and I was
ballsy that's how they started the season.
Yeah.
I was like, you just threw a grenade into your storytelling.
And a season finale moment.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it in the first episode. I loved it. I was like, kudos to our writers.
Mm-hmm.
So that was true for me. Like that moment, even though it's not necessarily a Diana or Zane moment.
Yeah, but like what you were saying before, like our characters are kind of a bit narcissistic.
Oh, just a bit.
Just a bit. And so, yeah, we're not really aware. Like, I don't think Zane even registers Liza or anything that's going on if it's not work related. Mm-hmm. So there's not going to be too many...
Or Kelsey related.
Yeah. So there's not going to be too many things that are going to pop up for Zane to be like, oh, God, snap. Like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like the perfect characters to keep lies or keep secrets from.
Yeah, well, I mean, Diana's so wrapped up in her shit.
Yeah.
You know, if it doesn't relate to her life, she doesn't have a lot of time for it.
Yeah.
Well,
we all know people
the amount
like
of completely blind advice that she gives Liza of like, stop chasing boys, and then immediately...
And just, yes, exactly. Take my advice, I'm not using it.
Both of your characters are very much based in the office world of the show, even though we get to see them outside of it. So, the Charles twist might not directly affect you, but how does it change, like, the professional environment?
It changes everything. I mean, what happens because of it, when we get to the end of season 5 is huge for everybody. So for everybody.
I'm like trying to think what. Oh yeah,
man. Like for you, like everybody. It sets in motion a series of things that change everybody in our work environment for sure. Yeah. So I can't really say more than that, but it has a direct effect on.
You wait and see.
Yeah. Certainly that losing Edward L.L. Moore.
Who's my only author.
And also threatens the company. So all of our jobs. So the sacrifice of that author, which was the right choice, but
Yeah, and now Charles has to. Now that he's aware that he's got to question, like, what's his next move? Does he, if he really loves her, and also about, what to do with the company.
Save his company, hustle.
Because it's very noble. Yeah. So there'd be some big decisions that have to be made.
Yeah.
That affect everybody.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about auditioning for the show and what you thought you were going to get from how you felt about the show when you first saw the sides? Did you know what you were stepping into?
He was just like, is Miriam Shor on the show? Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw Miriam on the show, I was like, yes, please. I hope I get to work with. It was my character interact with Diana.
Sure.
Well, I moved to New York just to take some acting classes and hang out, and I wanted to stay in New York a little bit longer, and so my team set me up for auditions, and one of the second or third ones I went on was for Younger, and so I told one of my friends I'm going to audition for the show for Younger. She was like, love that show. And I was like, all right, well, let's do a marathon. And so we watched the whole first season.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
And actually, that was after I found out I got the job. But before that, I remember just getting the sides and being like, oh, I know this character. I got this character down. And so when I went to audition for it, they actually had me do the first scene. I was prepared. They had me do the first scene 8 times.
No.
8 times because they just loved it and wanted to get it more perfect.
Was this Stephen Jacobs or was this Darren?
Stephen.
Yeah. The casting director.
The casting director. And then we did the second scene about 6 times. And I was just amazed at how prepared I was. But there was a moment in that audition where I had to make a decision and be like, all right, stay in it. Don't just fall apart. Be present. Because it's just I can't do this scene again.
Man, they put us through the ringer. That's weird what actors have to go through.
Yeah, but I took it as a great sign because I knew, if I come in prepared, it's going to make them want more and not just go, okay, thank you.
Yeah, they don't work with you if they don't want you.
Yeah, and so when I got on the show, Darren said, we just, from 20 seconds into your tape, we're like, oh, he's Zane. It's like you came in, you were already it.
Then they just made it 8 more times for the fun of it.
Yeah,
you
could have told me. Yeah, exactly.
No, but
Why
I didn't
did you make
let
me
him
do
know.
more than 20 seconds?
Let him know, that tape that you saw, that was a half hour's worth of work in the room.
Yeah.
But that was my project.
Yeah, my process was I had worked with Darren on another show called GCB on ABC, and so he and I already had a working relationship, and he asked if I would come in and test for this character, who was somewhat similar to the character I'd played on the other show in that she was a very powerful woman who was great at her job and took no bullshit from anyone and was narcissistic. I don't know why people keep casting me in those roles. And he was like, it's going to film in New York. It's with Sutton, and I've known Sutton for decades. And I know Darren, so it was Darren, Sutton, New York City, and I was like, where do I sign right now? And that's kind of how that worked for me. She's lucky. That's not the usual, story for actors.
So not 8 times for you.
No, but I still had to do a screen test, and for Keith Cox, who was, the head of TV Land at the time. And
was there anybody else testing?
There were 2 other women testing, and then Darren was like, then I wanted you, which,
what is that?
If you're like, okay.
Did that play on your mind at all? Because I've gone into some auditions before where they're like, you're our guy, we love you, and then you walk in the room and you're like,
who are these people?
Yeah, and then they'll always be like, we're just bringing these 2 other people in just to have, just to waste their time and raise their hopes. That's nice. Yeah, I'm going to test for a lot of things. So I'm always like, I'm not getting it. I just walk in with I'm going to do my best. I'm probably not getting it, and let's go do something afterwards and don't bank on it because you never know. Also, with every other show I've ever done, while it got picked up, it would die after 13 episodes. So I'm always like, well, this will last the season. So the fact that we're going on to our 6th season is so cool. And also it's the one that shoots in New York, which is where I live and where I want to be.
Perfect.
So much of the dynamic with Kelsey is this banter and very lighthearted, but will we get to see more maybe vulnerable moments between the 2 of them?
Oh yeah, there's definitely moments where they're just alone. It's just the 2 of them, and you get to see softer side, playful side. You get to see more shades of their relationship. And I want to bring up the fact that Miriam directed an episode.
So sweet.
You talk about your journey, how lucky it is.
The fact that being in and talking to you about that, because he had directed an episode on the originals, and when I said I was considering asking to direct an episode, you were so encouraging. It was really
it'll be easy,
really helpful. Wasn't easy.
Nah, I know.
But it was so fulfilling and amazing. And to be in a 5th season of a show is really when you can ask for that, because it's a well-oiled machine. I know the crew, I know the cast, I know the story, and the fact that Darren said yes and I got to do it was amazing. I remember being in Bryant Park in New York City, shooting at 4 a.m, and just being like, this is unbelievable that I'm doing this right now. It's fantastic.
Which episode is that?
It's episode 5. Yeah.
Did you have a particularly favorite aspect of that control of getting to step back?
Well, I realized that I always have opinions about things in the in the storytelling that we do, and you really are limited to what your character does. I mean, you can obviously speak up and say things about other storylines, but it's not to your place so much. And I love stories. You can hear Sutton Foster laughing in the background. My favorite laugh. Anyway, yeah, I always had opinions, and I care about the show, and so I value like all the storylines, even the ones I'm not involved in. So it was really nice to have someone be like, "Your opinion, Matt, we're asking you your opinion, and we're going to listen to it." It's pretty rad to have that moment, and to discover, I'm 46. To discover at 46 that I'm good at something that's new and that's challenging is pretty great.
Were there things that really surprised you about that?
What surprised me was how much I underestimated the experience I had. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been on a set for 20 years. I know a lot, and I just discarded the idea that I had that knowledge until I was in the middle of it and thought like, oh well, I know how this goes. I mean, I knew there was plenty that I wouldn't know, and that I had such a great crew around me, people who were so good at their jobs that I could delegate to. But I was surprised at how much I knew, like what I had a handle on, and that was kind of great.
Have you always had that interest in the rest of the set?
Yes, I'm always at Video Village. Like, I rarely am sitting in our actor chairs. I'm almost always just sitting and chatting with the director, or with just the scripty, or just the writer. I go to the writer's room a lot too. It's just interesting to me, as I'm sure it is to you. But I didn't realize just how interested I was in it until I questioned, particularly in light of everything that's been going on this year for women in this business. I really questioned why I hadn't asked to do it before, and if it was because I truly wasn't interested, which was fine, or if it was because I didn't think I deserved it or was up to it, and why. And once I answered those questions, I was like, oh, no, this is something I should try. It's not, I need to get out of my own way and be a little gutsy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Talk to my friends. I mean, I have so many male friends who have stepped up and thought, like, well, I might not be perfect, but I should give this a go. And I kind of had this idea, which, that I had needed to be perfect before I would step up.
Yeah, I mean, I think hearing you say that, it makes me think back to, like, my experience and thinking about doing it. And it's like, what right do I have?
But you never questioned that?
There was a moment, but you know what I did was I thought about it. I did, and I said, what do I come with? And I was like, I did print modeling for so long, so I know cameras. I'm also a photographer. I also study music. I study dance, so I know blocking. I know this and that. And then I just talked to people and found out more and more about it. And it's one of those things where you have an opinion too, and you're engaged and you care. But going back to what you were saying, it is kind of like when you look around, and for me it'd be like, well, there should be more minority directors, and I could
you could be that,
harp on somebody. It's like, wait a minute,
you are that. That was exactly my feeling.
I don't need
where
to
are the women directors? Wait a minute, why am I not including myself in that?
Yeah. And what a moment and a revelation, that there wasn't anything that was stopping you.
It was you.
It was me. Well, it was me literally, and I was like, no, you have permission. You're in.
No, but the idea that it's worth asking.
And you did mention that, like, the conversation was there that prompted you to ask the question.
Absolutely.
So there is, like, more cultural space, I think,
for both of us to have that conversation about why am I not questioning it? So it was fantastic, and I want to keep doing it. So
I think
we're on time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. How are you guys holding up? How long have you been here?
Great.
Wednesday?
Yeah, I live here. I run home every night. This is great. I live here.
You're so lucky you live in Austin.
I get to go.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.